Okay, we are here and you are here and we are going to tell you a little bit about ourselves.
And our story and how we met. Because tomorrow is our 4-year wedding anniversary.
Woohoo! We did it! 4 years and we're still alive.
And we still love each other.
No, we do.
4 years. It's crazy that 4 years have come and gone.
It's funny how fast it goes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's hard to think back to where we weren't together.
Yeah.
So sit back, relax, and listen to the story of how we met. Ellie and I met. It's kind of a funny story.
I like our story.
I lived in Finland for a little bit. Terve. I was there for service. And I had my companion who I worked with. He was a good friend of mine. His name was Landon. He had a girlfriend that he would write to every week or so. And so I heard about this girl, the entire time I was there. Her name was Julie. And Landon and Julie were in love, and it was a beautiful thing. So when Landon came home from the mission, I was able to drive from Washington to where he lived in Utah. And they had a homecoming for him. And at this homecoming, I officially met Julie at the church where they were having the homecoming. So I sat next to Julie because I knew her a little bit. And we were talking and everything, and then all of a sudden, this blonde-haired girl just slowly would peek her head right over the shoulder of Julie. And I caught eye of her and I was like, holy cow, that girl's really cute. And then throughout the day, she would kind of lean over and listen to what Julie and I were talking about. And every time I'd look at her, I'm like, dang, that girl is good looking. That is a good looking girl. That was the first time I saw Ellie.
And I remember being at the church and Julie, my sister, was sitting next to me. And do they know that she's my sister yet?
I think they do now.
Oh, well, you do now. Julie was sitting next to me, and I remember I was kind of mad because I thought, oh, you're dating Landon, and I want to be next to Landon's friends. That way they can ask me out if they like me. And so that's why I kept leaning over, was because I was wanting him to see me and to see that Julie had a cute younger sister in hopes of him asking me out.
Obviously, it had some sort of effect because I totally thought she was really cute. After the church service, we kind of like kept our eye on each other. We kept eyeing each other, and it was just kind of like we were playing back and forth a little bit, and I thought that was fun. But I was there throughout the week in Utah, and Landon and I were hanging out, and we decided to go over to get his haircut by Ellie, because Ellie was in hair school. And I was like, yeah, let's totally do that. Not for any benefit for me, but you totally need your haircut. So let's go see Ellie, right?
I got a text from Landon, and he said, is it okay if I bring a friend and you cut his hair? And since I was in school, I was needing all the practice I could get. And I was like, sure, bring him on over. I remember the feeling that I had opening the door, because I had no idea he was going to bring this friend. And when I opened the door, I remember my dad was standing next to me. I opened the door, and I remember my stomach just turned. I was just like, he's the friend that he's bringing over. I was so excited. And so we cut his hair. When we were saying goodbye, Jared hugged everybody. And Jared got so excited that he even bent down and grabbed our dog and hugged the dog. We were all laughing so hard. That was a memory that stuck out to my family for us to remember Jared.
One thing that I remember a lot, just that week, I think it was that same week, while we were getting to know each other, she dated a lot of guys and would go on dates every weekend. And this is when I just first got to know her. So Landon and I were hanging out, and I was like, what's Ellie doing tonight? What are Ellie and Julie doing? Landon was like, oh, Ellie has a date. I was like, that can't work. I want to hang out with Ellie. Ellie had this date. It was a first date with this guy. I called Ellie pretending to be that guy that she was going on a date with. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't make it to the date tonight. We'll have to reschedule. So she can hang out with me instead, because I didn't want her to go on a date because I thought she was cute and I wanted to hang out with her. So I was like, well, let's cancel that date so we can hang out.
When he had called, I didn't even blink an eye that like I didn't know the number or anything, because I hadn't gone on a date with this guy yet. We had met at the ice cream shop, so I figured it was just a different number that he had called me on. I didn't really know his voice that well because I'd only met him once. So I was like, dang it, like this first date with this guy that I thought was cute, we're not gonna go out. Jared waited a good like hour or two to say just kidding. Like after my lesson I went home and Jared called again.
I wanted to hang out with you.
Well, I know you're...
But I felt bad at the same time because he would go over to her house and be like, what's the deal?
Oh yeah, we would have figured it out between me and him talking, but Jared ended up calling back and saying, it's me, Jared. And I remember thinking, good for you, like, you must like me then. So my date was not canceled. I went on my date. I believe we went four-wheeling on that date. And
I wasn't there. We didn't hang out.
And I got home late that night. Once I got home, I sent Jared a text, and I was like, I'm home. And Jared said, did you kiss him? And I said, nope. And we talked for a couple hours.
That kind of started off the phase where we were talking to each other almost every single night. We would text each other a lot. Keep in mind, I live in Washington, and I visit Utah every once in a while. My grandparents and aunt and uncle live close to Ellie's family, which is super convenient.
Yeah.
And then I went to school in Utah as well. We went on a few double dates with Landon and Julie, but then we had our first real date.
And I drove down to where Jared was at school because Jared didn't have a car. So I would go down once a week, if that, to visit Jared. Mm-hmm. Our first date, Jared called my mom and like asked her, can I take Ellie on a date? It was so cute. And he like told her what they were gonna do, because I mean, granted, I'm still in high school at the time, just so you guys know, but Jared was very considerate, and I think that's why my parents didn't mind so much, is because Jared called. He knew that I was a high school student. This is what we're gonna do. This is when she'll be home. Thanks for letting her drive. So I thought that was cute.
Let's be honest, guys. I totally robbed the cradle.
That's okay.
So our first date, what we did is we rented a tandem bike and we rode all the way, around town just on the tandem bike. Then we went to this really popular hot dog stand in our town and had like the best hot dogs ever. Mm-hmm. And then rode around a little bit more.
These hot dogs were huge, and they have special sauce too that they put on these really yummy hot dogs. It was a mess. It was dripping down. It was sticky on my fingers. I was just like, if he asks me on another date, this is going to be really cool.
It was really good. So we rode around town, and then I think we went and saw a movie, but it was a really, really simple date, but we had a lot of fun.
And then, we continued to date. At this point, we stopped kind of going on double dates just because Landon and Julie were in school and busy. Jared was in a different place, an hour away, going to school.
We were dating as much as possible, but at the same time, we were going on dates with other people too. In December, Landon and Julie got married, and then I came up to the wedding. That's when Ellie and I officially started dating, like exclusively. We were going steady, if you want to say that.
I feel like I dated a lot. I really feel like I had several boyfriends. What I really liked about Jared is he asked me to be his girlfriend. And I thought that was funny because all these other guys we just assumed and then we were dating. But Jared sat down and asked will you be my girlfriend? And I thought that was really cute. And I remember telling my mom that, and I remember my mom just smiling really big. I think she thought that was cute too.
That's how you do it, guys. You got to get the points.
Yes.
The points matter. So we started dating exclusively.
Did we really not kiss before
we didn't.
That?
And here's why. I had just gotten out of a pretty intense relationship, a pretty bad relationship. So I wanted to take things really slow because I didn't want to just dive into things. We went on a few more dates. After Christmas came and went. Then Valentine's Day came.
And that day, I was like, Jared's gonna give me my first kiss, with him. We're gonna kiss. And Landon and Julie both work as nurses at the hospital. And so Jared came to my mom's house and we made dinner And we went to the hospital and had a double date Valentine's Day dinner with Julie and Landon at the hospital on their lunch break.
And
then what did we do?
We made this really, really nice dinner
Chicken.
for them. We came back to Ellie's house. We watched a movie, I think.
We watched Psych all night.
Psych is the best TV show. We watched Psych.
I remember trying to be extra respectful with Jared, like at my mom's house. Like I wanted my parents to really like Jared. We could have gone downstairs in the basement with a huge flat screen TV and sat on the couch and watched our shows. But instead, we sat upstairs on the couch and we had Jared's little laptop on a bar stool and we watched Psych all night long. And I remember my mom's like, you could have gone downstairs and used the TV. And I remember like, oh, like my mom wouldn't have cared. Like I just was trying to not make my parents
Worry.
Question. Yeah. We watched Psych.
We watched Psych. That was pretty much it. Then I think I went home. I think that was the night that we went outside to the car and we just kind of talked for a little bit. You came back inside and then turned back around and said, I really like you.
Yeah, I did.
And then I said, I really like you too.
Yeah, I remember yelling to him. And I was like, and also I was like, and I think you're cute.
So we just kind of went back and
yelled
forth
at each other.
But I think Ellie was really mad because I didn't kiss her on Valentine's Day. But keep in mind, I had just gotten out of a bad relationship, and I didn't want to rush things, like, at all.
But granted, we had been knowing and dating and courting for
like
months
3 months.
and like a long time.
Oh, I am
but
sorry.
But I remember hugging. I remember really hugging. We hugged a long time, and I think we kissed each other's cheek or something. But like,
yeah.
I remember like it was there. You just had to finish the kiss.
But I didn't.
And I remember texting Landon that night, telling him that I was mad. I was like, Jared should kiss me.
I honestly, I felt really bad because it's Valentine's Day. Whether or not she's your girlfriend, you should kiss her,
And then
right?
here I am, I'm like, you should have kissed me like 3 months ago and 2 weeks before we even knew each other. Like, you should have been kissing on me.
I was still in town the next day, and I was just like, I gotta make this right. So I went to her house. You know, we were just hanging out like normal, and, you know, I told her, I grabbed her by the hand, I was like, I have to do something. I'm sorry. And I told her, I was like, I need to give you something. And so I go in for the kiss, you know, like being like all really nice. I'm sure I'm saying like whispering sweet nothings into her ear and trying to be all cute and everything. And I go in for the kiss, and then Ellie, all of a sudden, as she's coming in, turns her face like that. And I'm like, what? Like, I knew you were waiting for this kiss. Why did you do that?
I
Like,
was nervous.
why did you turn your cheek? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been rejected. And I was like, wait a second. Let me try that again. So I'm like, wait, I think I missed. And so I go in, and then that's when we had our first kiss.
Yes. Because I would go down to see him a lot down in school, my sister Ruby just lived in that same town. So when I would go down and if I spent the night, I would spend the night at her house. One night we were actually babysitting my sister's kids, and Jared was there babysitting with us, and the kids had gone to bed. It was kind of late. We were waiting for my sister to get home. And I remember sitting on the couch. I think we just had a TV show on. Jared told me that night, he's like, I'm really starting to fall in love with you. He hadn't quite said I loved you yet, but he was like, I'm really starting to fall in love with you. So that was the start of you telling me you loved me. And then I think the next week that I went down, I think we were just in your apartment and you said you loved me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I think you came to visit and I said I loved you.
Yeah. And I loved you too.
No.
A lot.
Throughout this time, in our other videos, you probably heard that I've had hip problems in the past. In April, I had total reconstructive hip surgery on my right hip because there was a point where I could barely even walk. I was in a wheelchair for some time. I was on crutches for a while. I just couldn't walk, and so the only thing to fix it was reconstructive hip surgery. Luckily, the surgery was taking place in Utah, so it was perfect. So I had my hip surgery done. I was in the hospital for 3 days, and I think you came every single day to visit me. And that was one of the coolest things, was Ellie came to the hospital and visited me. But the kicker is, the recovery time, I had to lay in bed for 3 months straight. At my grandparents' house, we had a hospital bed. My mom, bless her heart, stayed at my grandparents' house for 3 months. You know, they live in Washington. Almost every single day after hair school, Ellie would come and visit me and hang out with me. And it's so crazy, but like that is the majority of like our dating was I'm laying down flat on this hospital bed and Ellie comes and nurses me back to health. It was just really cool because it was a period where we couldn't do anything. So we talked and we got to know each other really, really well.
We talked a lot.
And I feel like that's how we got to know each other as well as we do now, is just having 3 months of just sitting there and talking and getting to know each other. So that was
Jared
really cool.
couldn't even, Jared could sit up. Could you sit up like even?
Well, it was really hard for me. It hurt. I mean, the scar is probably like this long
It looks
down
like
my
a shark
hip.
attack.
Yeah. But I had the hospital bed. Bzzzt, that's how I would sit up.
That time you were sitting in bed laying in bed the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just pull up a chair and sit next to him. Every other day, I would be in hair school just down the street from Jared's grandma's house.
It's so crazy to me, like,
how our
lives intersected. Like, we're two total strangers from...
in 2 different states.
But all of our family and connections are within like 5 minutes of each other. It's so crazy to me.
So I would leave hair school a lot of times when Jared was there early. And my best friend Rihanna in hair school would get after me. She's like, Ella, you can't be leaving early. You can't afford to leave early. But we managed to make it work. But I left early several times because I just wanted to be with you and see you.
Well, and who doesn't want to be with me? And this hair.
Because I had a job too. So I could only see Jared for a little bit, then I'd go to my job, and then high school, and then hair school, and my job. So I had to make time.
Ellie graduated. I went home to Washington to finish my recovery. I decided that with all of our dating and everything, I decided I needed to make a trip to Utah. So I took my sister-in-law's car, with her permission, of course, and I drove out to Utah to ask permission to marry her. And Ellie had no idea that I was coming, so it was a total surprise. I went and drove up and talked with her parents for a couple hours, and Ellie's parents are so great. I love them. And we just had a good time talking, and I got the approval to ask her. And so just as we had finished talking, Ellie walked in the door. I ran in the room to hide from her and surprised her and everything. It was great. We went out to dinner.
I hadn't seen Jared walk for months. And Jared had to learn how to walk. So it was a sacrifice for Jared to drive 10 plus hours to ask my dad to marry me because his hips still hurt. He had just learned how to walk again. So when Jared came out of the bedroom to surprise me, he was walking quite slow, because your hips were still really hurting. Yeah. So I remember hugging him really tight, and I just knew that he had asked. I knew that that's why. Because why else would he be dry? I just knew it. About
a month or so later, Ellie flew out to see me and to just hang out with me and get to know my family a little bit more. So I took her to this amazing park. It has lots of flowers. It's just huge. Unbeknownst to Ellie, I had a ring in my pocket. I took her to this amazing park, and there's this gazebo that a lot of pictures are taken at. And we had our camera with us, so I set the camera down and put the timer on. I was like, let's take a picture. And so as the picture was just about being taken, I grabbed the ring and pulled it out, and so I got the snapshot of the moment. I had proposed to Ellie and she said no, and I was like, what the heck? Oh, I'm just kidding. She said yes. We were engaged. Yeah, we went out to dinner to celebrate, and we were engaged. We were engaged August 13th, and 3 months later, we got married in Utah.
Yep. For time and all eternity?
Forever and ever.
You're stuck with me.
Help me.
And
help me. Seriously, help me. Help me out of this.
But we've been married for a wonderful 4 years.
Jinx, you owe me a soda.
4 years, Jared.
Just like I said, looking back on time, it seems so long ago, but 4 years have just gone by like that.
It's really fast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I wouldn't change. I wouldn't do anything differently. I had someone ask me one time, do you regret getting married so young? And I thought, that's kind of rude, because if I said yes, that means I wouldn't have...
You don't want to marry me?
Yeah, so I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't change anything about anything that we've done.
I just feel like we have something special. But in all reality, I just feel like life is really good to us. I'm happy that we've had 4 really, really good years together.
And may we have 40 million more. So that is how we met. That is our story. Thank you guys for watching. We do appreciate every one of you. All the comments we get. We read every single one of them, I promise. We do. We love them. We love you guys. So thank you so much for watching. And we will see you guys
in the next video.
Goodbye.
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 One more.
Okay. Ah!
Camera gate puts 10 pounds on us. We're always talking and talking and talking.
She's always just.
We just talk so much.
What do we? I guess we can just close.
When Jared means close, he means say a prayer.
Close with a prayer.
Fold your arms, guys.
No peeking.
Close your eyes.